You ready? 80, you ready?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, February 15th, the 10 a.m. agenda meeting. I'm going to get Mr. Lee Falk to say the pledge and Mr. Kirk Quinn to say the prayer. Please stand.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven.
Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. All right. Go to item number 3. Mr. Mark Daigle, variance that failed in November due to the tie vote. Mr. Daigle, before we get started, I just want to pass on to you. We're going to give you a time limit to talk. And we're not here to bash nobody. If you get to bashing or running anybody down, your time's up. That's including us, the DA, the sheriff, or anybody else on the staff. Welcome to hear what you got to say. You got 5 minutes.
5 minutes, okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, I'm here today, and I pray we can get through this calmly, professionally, because you know some of us lack self-discipline. But I'm here today, as you all know, I'm trying to start a business. Y'all have my back against the wall. But I'm not here today just for me or my business. I'm here for the people of this parish. They need to see that maybe some of y'all pick and choose who gets to do what. Like I said, I'm not bashing nobody. I'm not aggravated. I'm not mad with anybody, have any ill will to nobody. So please don't take offense to nothing. But I'm gonna make some things clear. I have y'all's paperwork. I'm reading exactly from y'all's paperwork. I'm gonna be reciting stuff that y'all said in meetings. All facts, not half truths. For instance, in one meeting, I made a point to make it clear that Mr. Scott didn't have a building permit. Miss Mary Carroll is here. She could answer that. He did not have it. I come to a meeting. He held his permit up, said, I have my permit right here. Happy Thanksgiving. He didn't have it at the time when I asked it, but we're not bashing. I just want to make points for the people of the parish to see, not to throw anybody under the bus. Mr. Joe DuPont, in one meeting, you stated that you're going to help any business come back to Creo, because you spoke with the government, had a meeting, he said, help the businesses get back. I don't know if you remember that or not. Well, I come in here twice, maybe 3 times on my business, you voted no every time. I could only see you being vindictive and biased towards me, in my opinion. I could only see you have a malicious vendetta towards me, along with a few others, y'all. These are points, facts, my opinion. Mr. Thomas McDaniel, like I said, nothing against you. I like y'all all as people, but you are biased, vindictive towards me also, and have a malicious vendetta. Why do I say that? I come in here, I brought facts to one of these ladies about you being in business with Mr. Kinnick about voting on all this stuff, because you was the head of him getting his ordinance. I believe it was 44 CFR 60.3 section C, number 3, what he was supposed to follow.
Wasn't the same business so far.
I understand that, but I'm just saying a point. But anyhow, you had a business with him. I don't know the conflicts of interest. I don't know the ethical rules or nothing, but once I've made that known, you backed out of voting that day. But you said,
I didn't know that.
that day you did, you sustained from voting. You can watch the meeting, y'all pay a gentleman, y'all got some good videos, but I'd like you not to interrupt me while I'm talking, because I'm on a time limit, sir.
Well, if you're gonna condemn me, then I'm gonna interrupt.
Okay. And then you also stated that you're gonna give any business a variance that come to the Creo area, except for a grocery store, because John is getting a variance. Your words, it's in the meeting. Yep, that is being biased against another grocery store. Whether or not you have a business or different business, I don't know. These are facts. This is what you said, it's recorded. So, like I said, you come to a vote for my business. I'm not a grocery store, I'm a mechanic shop in the Creo area that you stated you would vote. You voted no twice for me.
I thought you said I sustained.
That you sustained for voting on John's stuff. So with that being said, I met with y'all's fine staff on another business that's working underneath the agriculture permit, Mr. Ed Frank. I spoke with Miles and that, he told me he could do it because it's seafood harvesting. Well, harvesting the seafood, I looked at y'all's rules, he pulled it up, it says you could do that for harvesting the seafood. Harvesting the seafood is catching it. I spoke with Wildlife and Fisheries, I spoke with them, I Googled it. This ain't me making stuff up or reading half the truth to make me shine light on myself. These are facts and me talking to people that knows about it. Harvesting seafood is a residential person that buys a license to catch seafood. Then there's commercial harvesting seafood, which is that is a business. You have to have a commercial license. Then it goes into wholesaling, which is not harvesting any seafood. He's buying and selling, which he does. I have all the paperwork if you would like me to produce it, because I'm not allowed to put a porta potty in my business like he has. I gotta elevate all this stuff. Anything against Ed Frank? No, nothing. Strictly business, showing y'all pick and choose. Thomas Scott, which he's here today, maybe he'd like to shed some light on his business. That's running under agriculture permit. These are more than many. I keep trying to exit, and what's sad, I come in here and I called each and every one of y'all. I had not spoke to one member, and that was be Mr. Lee. I left a message with his wife. I never spoke with Mr. Lee on the phone ever. But each and every one of y'all, I called y'all all, voicing opinions, voicing concerns. And then it started off as a different thing for me, and now I'm trying to do a business and y'all standing in my way. So I just wanted to shed the light, not for me nor my business, but for all the people that can't do this or that. You understand? I understand helping these businesses. If I would be in y'all's shoes, I'd help them too. But you can't pick and choose who you help. So I'm here today to make a statement. If y'all want to help me with my business, y'all help me. If not, just come on with it, because I'm doing my business. So if y'all got anything to say to me, please don't let me go sit down. Please say it now while I'm up here where I can defend myself along with your legal counsel. If you have nothing to say to me, I am done for today.
Thank you very much. Anybody anything to say to him? Okay, thank you. All right, let's move on to Mr. Butler Bourgeois, property insurance.
Good morning. Thank you for having me today. In your packet, I've got two sets of paper. One is an overview of the property coverage that we're asking you to renew, and then you should have 2 pages of insurance companies listed just to show who we approached on the property. Back to the main sheet that offers a breakdown, if you do have it in front of you. We currently have, you can see on the left side, 10, 20, 25 million in property insurance coverage. The matrix that you see in front of you are the insurance carriers that are going to provide the coverage this year, similar to last year. The premiums are up. Last year, we were for 25 million on all of our properties, 25 million in coverage on all of our properties. We were right at 1,183,648.05. This year, if you look at the very top right, highlighted in yellow, that renewal cost is 1,610,540.88. We are continuing to work with the carriers that we have not heard a final result from. So far, that was yesterday's number. So far, we've been able to reduce the premium by another 75,000 from carriers that we've heard from. So we would like permission today to allow the renewal and allow administrations to sign off on a lower premium as we complete our replies from our insurance carriers.
So in other words, what you're saying, as they come in, if there's somebody cheaper, then we'll
Yes.
go with them. Yeah.
Yes.
Our insurance, it renews on the 27th, 28th, so it's decreasing as they're coming in.
Yeah, they always wait till the last.
Exactly.
And it-
Yeah.
And it's a result of the market in the situation, interest rates, things like that, but, we're continuing to get better pricing.
I'm good with that. I'm good with that?
Yep, so that's item 19.
So we covered for 25 million
Yes,
each building?
it's in total, so you have roughly, 58,936,118 in value. And that 25 million is spread across all of those buildings. We do have each building listed, and each building has a value. So you won't get more than the value that's listed, but that 25 million can be spread across all of those locations.
Instead of insuring all of them.
Yes.
Instead of,
Yeah, if we had to insure all, the entire value, we'd be over 2.5 million.
Before the storm, we had 60 million in coverage, but due to increases and the storms, it has, the cost would be outrageous for us to do that. And knowing what we spent or what we had paid out, it was a good range.
Where are we at right now for Laura and Delta? What was the money? What was our damages for Laura and Delta?
Well, they're still assessing that now with the lawsuit. That's still,
But what was it assessed at before we got in litigation? I know we had an assessment by somebody.
It was less than 15 million.
yeah, it was like around 12, almost 13,000, million, sorry.
Okay.
We also looked at a wind model report last year, and this year. It showed about the same result. So and that's how we came to the 25 million last year.
Okay. I just wanna make sure we got enough coverage and not be under insured.
Mr. President, I have a couple of questions. It's just taxes and fees, what is that?
So the state of Louisiana, the insurance companies have some associated fees. They may run their wind model, or they just may have a $250 fee. And because we have 6 or 8 companies, each one has a fee they're allowed to do that. The state of Louisiana does collect an insurance tax that you do have to pay. I've looked into it for several clients to see if, you don't pay taxes. But on the insurance side, you do have to pay that tax.
So where does that go? Does that go to, Donovan's group?
It does, it's 4.85%.
I'm assuming that goes into citizens at some point in time.
I mean, it's a tax.
Okay, the other thing is, what is the increase? Is it a 10% increase?
Oh, if we increased our deductible from the current 5% up to 10%, we would save roughly about $50,000. And we felt like the increase was not worth the savings because of what we have to pay deductible wise. On 50 million, an extra 5% is going to be 10% would be roughly $6 million instead of $3 million at a 5% level.
Katie, I'm sure y'all reviewed this, so what is y'all recommendation?
I think you guys should go ahead and just, on agenda item 19, grant authority for the administrator to bind it based off the recommendation of Mr. Butler, and any policies premiums that come in at a cheaper rate. Of course, we would accept it as long as it didn't change our coverage amount or our deductible amount.
Just stay at the 5%, not the 10%.
We work out.
Now that tax you got that the state charges you, is that on all insurances?
It's all on surplus carriers who are involved here. Any surplus carrier has a 4.85% fee that goes into, I guess, either the general fund for the state or an insurance fund. And that it's an admitted carrier, you don't have a fee, but you have an assessment to pay for the property pool. So each one is a little different, but they both run about the same. On an admitted carrier, it's internal. On a surplus carrier, it has to be shown outside of the premium.
Hey babe, look at me, I have a question.
That's crazy stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
So, Katie,
Edwin Edwards put it in place. He thought it was a good idea.
Yeah.
so you recommend that we go with what he proposed here, Katie?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Anybody got any more questions about insurance?
Unless we get something in cheaper than that.
Yeah.
Between now.
But if you get something cheaper and better, we'll go with the,
Yeah.
Yeah, she's got it.
What you have on your paper is the worst scenario, and it's decreasing daily. I mean, like you said, this was yesterday, and it's gone down 75,000, is that what you said?
75,000
Yeah.
already.
okay. Any more questions, Mr. Butler? Anything else?
No, sir.
All right.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna do number 5, then after number 5, we'll read some green cards. Public comment for 1310 School Street, Hackberry, Louisiana, PPDR, MO combination property.
Just a little statement. What we're talking about here is there's a abode that is adjacent to the west side of the old ag barn. It's in between the new school and the gyms. And these kids walk back and forth to the gyms from the school. And the problem being is, you know how kids are. I know when I was in school, I would have investigated that building. So it's one of the things that I think that it'd be necessary to make sure that we go ahead and get this done right.
And we didn't receive any comment on.
It's on I can't think of his name right now. Go ahead.
The backstory is Mr. Curtis sees an urgency for a public safety issue, and he's already an applicant on the PPDR process. And he's on the list, but he's at the bottom of the list. So we're trying to expedite his process quicker. And it's still gonna take time because we already got batches set up. The other alternative is if the parish was to take action, do the other condemnation, do the work, and then hold the owner responsible for the fees. So, and we talked to Mr. Barrett about that a little bit to see what all the options we can. So, not to put the burden on the landowner, we'll go this process, but he feels like, now it's been 2.5 years that it's even worse, more hazard to the public where it's at now. So, we're trying to kick off both barrels at the same time, start with the PDR if it works quicker, but the quicker process would be if the jury took their action, which we started with the first letter of condemnation, no comment, then we'll do the final. Then y'all can do a side job task for that from the jury itself to do y'all's condemnation outside of PPD.
Can we get reimbursed after the fact?
No,
by the landowner. I mean, you have to hold them liable. It won't fall in this program.
It won't fall
So
in
we're
the
trying
fin.
both. We're trying to start, we didn't want to wait. Ms. Kirk, we started, half of y'all wasn't here last time, but we got it voted in to start off the process, to be quicker on my end, on the system we're using now. But to be any faster, you'd have to do a side task through the parish.
I'd like to leave it on the PPDR. My concern is that if one of these kids gets in there and gets hurt, and you know how kids are, like I said, they have to go past that properties. And they're inquisitive and you never know what's gonna happen. So I would like to move this to the top of PPDR is what I'd like to do.
And that's what we're doing. As soon as it goes through the process, we're gonna move it to the batches for the next round of procurement, you know. As y'all noted, the debris started with, and the first line item is to do leaners and hangers. They're gonna cut everything down across the parish, all the property. That's through series. Then they'll come back and pick up the debris. Now that operation started 2 days before we had to suspend it due to the ground conditions, and it's still too late for them to do any work. Second, on the demo, everything's ready to go. We're just waiting on FEMA to obligate the money. Now, towards the end of January, there was high confidence we was gonna get it, but I want consent, not confidence. I wanna make sure we get the dollars before we kick off that big project. In the next round, we're gonna advertise, Jim, is it 4 batches that we're gonna try to do? It'll be separate jobs. but we're
Yeah,
gonna do
4 additional batches.
4 additional batches at one time to try to speed this stuff up.
And we'd move 1310 into one of those batches, so it would be in the next group.
Have you notified the people that applied for this,
I guess.
debris removal, on these stumps and had went through the whole program and now are being told that they, or you're telling me that they can't, are not gonna be allowed to pick up certain stumps?
Certain sizes. Now, Jim might be able to clarify that, because not all of them are acceptable. Like I said, they're too big, there's no place to dispose them. Somebody have to go and grind them down and move them off, but that's not part of the program. You know, some stumps do qualify, but he might have, I don't know the dimensions of all the ones that qualify. But everybody has been visited, talked to.
Stumps are extremely problematic. They're not entirely ineligible, but you have to go through a lot of extra paperwork and document where fill material is going to come from that fills in the holes where the stumps were. So really the best case scenario for the parish and probably the residents is to cut them off at ground level and leave them. That's probably the most expeditious way to go about it.
Well, why were they told it was gonna be removed and got approved and everything?
I
Now
don't know who told them. Could have been a contractor, we have a lot of misinformation, a lot of times it's not from people that have the authority to say that. We run into that all the time, these contractors go over there and, oh yeah, we're gonna pick that up. That's not so, you know. So we verify what we're.
Are you notifying the ones that are not gonna be picked up?
I don't know, case by case, most of them, they contact with, and before they, go to the properties, they know what kind of work they're gonna do.
Yeah, so we do contact the homeowner in advance, of going out to pick up debris, at least in the case of January we did. And if the case of stumps comes up, we would notify them that, you know, our intention of cutting them off ground level and leaving the remainder there.
Do you have a time frame when the PPDR is gonna kick off?
The demolitions,
Yes.
the first version 0 would be obligated by FEMA, if I had to guess, sometime in February. We follow up with them once or twice a week and explain the urgency and,
Next February, right?
no, we think the obligation for version 0 would come this February. And then we would, as soon as that obligation hits, we can start the demolition on those properties that have been obligated.
Okay, my concern, like I said, where this is at, to me, it's serious. Because when it comes to these kids, you know, like I said, they're very inquisitive. And I'm just worried that one of them is gonna get in there and what's left of the roof is gonna fall down on these kids.
And then
I'd like to, if we can't get this done expeditiously, I'd like to be able to go in there and at least fence it off or something.
What's the owner doing about it, whoever?
They contacted him, to make sure that they got the PPD on, okay? Now, whether we have to contact him and have him go put a fence up, I don't know, but something needs to be done, as soon as possible.
It is possible to get the parish to knock down the house and carry off the waste and seek FEMA reimbursement. That's still viable, it's just not as straightforward as doing it through the ordinary PPDR process.
Okay, PPDR, you're not only knocking down the house, from what I'm understanding, the cement has to be removed as well.
The
Is
cement
that?
has to stay,
Or it has to stay?
yes.
Okay, I was told it had to be
PPDR,
removed.
it would, if we removed a slab, it would render that house ineligible for reimbursement because it would be considered a ground disturbing activity.
Well, that's great, but what I was told
And
before.
his property, he wants the slab to stay.
Yes, it's raised. So,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Are we gonna need any activity from the jury for this to move up in the,
We need to condemn 1310 School Street.
okay,
It's on the voting meeting for the next.
so we'll take
On
it.
the vote
Okay.
meeting, okay. All right, good
Thank
deal.
you.
Any more questions?
No, sir.
All right, thank y'all. All right, we got a couple green cards. We'll do the first one, Royal Engineering, update on Jeff Davis Electric.
Morning.
Good morning.
Bo Tate with Royal Engineers. We're working with Jeff Davis Electric on their transmission system. So we just want to come and give y'all an update. BHA is the engineer for Jeff Davis. They're their electrical engineer. They submitted 90% drawings to us on the full transmission and all of the substations in December. We've given those to our construction manager at risk contractors. We have two contractors. We have a transmission contractor who is QSIG, and then we have a substation contractor that is EP Bro. So they have provided cost estimates to us. They have full design plans. So we're anticipating executing contracts for our construction within the month. They have material contracts right now, so they're available to start ordering materials. And then we're anticipating construction starting third quarter this year, probably in September. You'll see the first transmission poles in the ground for the full 105-mile system. Materials is a big issue. There's a lot of lead times. That's why we executed separate contracts for materials versus construction at this point. So they are ordering materials. Come March, we will have our final grants with FEMA. You may start seeing some construction, but it would just be like demo within the substations and those sort of things. But September of this year is when you really will start seeing construction of the new transmission system and the substations.
How long it takes before it gets through?
We're anticipating June of 2025 to be complete. So we'll start on the Chalkley substation, which is east side of the ship channel south of Lake Charles, and work our way down to the ship channel across the Johnson Bayou, and then all the way back up to the Cameron LNG substation.
So they'll have to finish the whole thing before they turn it on, or can they do it in phases, or what?
They can do it in phases. We will accept it in phases. What we're tentatively looking at, if we do start powering up ahead of having the whole thing complete, would probably be to power up from the Chalkley substation south to the Fulton substation.
Right.
That would allow us to get off with generators in the three of the substations, and then move our way across the ship channel. June 2025 is the deadline currently for FEMA to not be funding the generators anymore in the substations. We would have more time to finish construction of the rest of the system, but our goal is to be off of all generators on June 2025. And the contractors, at their tentative schedule, they feel that they can complete the whole project by June 2025.
Something.
So we do, the other thing, I guess we do have land rights consultants working with us. We've issued notices to all of the 700 tracts that we have. That was a while back. We let them know that we were doing survey and geotech. But we will be have to revise some land rights agreements, so some of y'all residents may start getting calls. That's probably be within the next 3 or 4 months. But Jeff Davis will have representatives down here to meet with the landowners. Our consultants will, and we'll be here every other month to give y'all updates as well on progress.
What are they doing, how's the crossings, over or underground?
So the Calcasieu Ship Channel, everything will be underground, both the transmission lines and the distribution lines. On the Intercoastal and the Mermentau, we're gonna go underground with the distribution lines and above ground with the transmission lines.
What's the purpose of that? Why not go underground?
It's much on the transmission side. When you go underground, your switching stations and your breakers and everything on both sides, they're very expensive. So for just the transmission to go overhead, you don't need any of the switches, the breakers, anything like that. But everything will be designed to 160 mile per hour wind speed with foundations in the ground. So I'm confident that it'll stand up.
What kind of foundations, though? You're gonna have a pipe, y'all gonna be vibrating in the ground and have a flange on top and some flange post?
Yep, that's the typical foundation, yeah. Some of the substations will have, concrete footings with timber piles, but all of your big posts that you see across will be steel posts, steel caissons, vibrated into the ground with the flange, and then we'll just set the post on top of it.
They're about 30 feet long, ain't they?
The foundations?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anywhere from averaging about 3 foot in diameter, 30 foot long. In a few spots where we have some big curves and stuff, will be 50 foot deep and 6 foot in diameter. But it's a hollow caisson. It's not a solid
Right.
foundation pile.
That's the same material they're using, Energy's using north of Hackberry?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
I fell through with the question. I want to thank y'all, and I want y'all to pass that on to Mr. Mike and the Jeff Davis staff, that the reliability has greatly increased since his meetings with us, and we want to thank y'all for that. And the second question I got is that I thought you said at the meetings that we would start that in the first quarter, second quarter, and now it's moved back.
Well, we executing contracts in the first quarter, and we'll be doing a little, like I said, we'll be doing a little bit of demo. But we won't, availability of materials is the issue. So before we can get transformers or any of the steel caissons, it'll be July or September of this year. Transformers, for example, a transformer is a 60-week lead time right now and increasing. So that's why we got our material contracts executed actually last week.
They're not made in China, are they?
No, sir.
All right. Any other questions? Anything else, sir?
No, sir.
All right, appreciate it.
All right, thank y'all. Thank y'all.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Tom Barrett, meetings and around the parish.
Thank you, President. So, sometime at the end of last year, I had announced to the Klondike Lowry area that once the first Wednesday of every month, I would be going to their community to visit and just answer questions or concerns or visit with whatever I could provide to them. Went in January, went well. In February, the party grew. So Susan Rockeye, the clerk's office came, Scott Laverne, the tax assessor's office came, the sheriff showed up, and we were in Klondike Lowry that morning and met with a lot of people, answered some questions, talked about concerns, went really well. And we will continue to do that in Klondike and Lowry the first Wednesday of every month into the future. Now, I don't know if we'll need to do it every month, but for now, we're doing it every month, or I announced I would do it every month until May or June and then decide how often. And then we decided, let's offer this to the other parts of the parish. So, for instance, on March the 7th, the caravan will be in Johnson Bayou in the morning, and then we'll be in Hackberry in the afternoon. Also coming with us to the west side, I think your permit department, Robin will be with us. And again, we're just, the idea for me, and I think everybody else, is just we're gonna go to the parish, to the communities, and offer information, guidance, answer questions, and just help the public. We serve the public, and that's what we want to try to do. So, you know, you're Sonny in your area, Mr. Curtis in your area. Mr. Butch showed up in Klondike Lowry this February, and I think he went for a ride, looked at some roads and some drainage issues. I just think that's just good for the parish, good for us to get out and help the public, because again, that's what we're here for, to try to help them. We serve them. So just wanted to let you know, and as we schedule these things in the future, we'll let the public know the best way we can. But that's it. Any questions, or anybody else want to add?
Oh, you
Kim
will be gone.
Kim's gonna. Oh, look, and the port director, Kim Monte, will be with us on March 7th. The party just keeps getting bigger. But it really was. Let's pass. A few weeks ago in Klondike, especially in Klondike, we had a dozen residents show up and just talk about whatever. Visit with myself and the sheriff about some law enforcement issues. Visit with Mr. Butch about some drainage issues. Scott in his office comes with their computer and can talk about tax issues or helping the seniors lock in their tax amount or whatever other services. And Ms. Susan's there also to, you know, just to help people answer questions, tell them what services she provides to them, and then take that out on the road.
Did y'all cook?
We did not. No.
We've had
Like
that
king
week.
cake.
But yeah, we had some donuts and some things of that nature. It was just in that area. So we spent about an hour in Lowry, then we caravanned over to Klondike, and we were there for about an hour or two, and we left by noon. The west side, more population, more people. We just thought we might need more time. But again, this all will be adjusted as we go forward and see what the needs of the different communities are.
Sounds good.
All right.
Good deal. Thank you very much.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Okay. Move on to number 6, Ms. Susan Rockoff, Clerk of Court Services.
Good morning. I think in your package you have our services that are now available. We have e-recording, both in conveyances and mortgages. People don't even have to come to the office anymore. It can be done on the computer. Scan it in, pay for it, get it done, they get a certified copy right away. The e-filing in civil, that can be done also. All the attorneys are e-filing now mostly. It's very advantageous. No more traveling, no more, you know, you can do all your stuff. To get onto these services, my website, if you'll look, it says access to services. You can get on the website and look. We still do birth certificates, that's since 2008. But our new thing is the passports. Since January of this year, I've been trying for 4 years now to get it, just got it, and we have been busy. That's available not only to the residents of Cameron Parish, but anyone. The sheriff's office through Chris Savoy is going to have a camera that's going to take the people's pictures. It's not in yet, so they have to provide their pictures. Is there any questions?
Yeah, well, I need to get mine, me and Michelle's updated, so how do we do that?
You'll go to, well, whenever you're in Lake Charles, go to CVS or Walgreens, take your picture right now. I'll let you know whenever
Okay.
I'll put it on Facebook.
Is there certain days, you know how we have to make?
5 days a week. Yes, you do have to make an appointment.
Okay.
And it's hometown service that you don't get elsewhere, and
No.
that makes it nice,
No, thank you.
okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And further on in your packet, I provided all of you and anyone else who wants the pages in the back for qualifying in August. You'll see that, and who's qualifying, and the fees, and what you have to do. But you're welcome to call me, and we'll get you going. Is there any questions?
Fees, you got fees?
Yeah, you got fees. Not my fees, Secretary of State fees.
Anybody got any questions?
Any questions? And you can always call me at the office and I'll walk you through this process. Okay?
All right, thank
And
you,
if you
ma'am.
want to make an appointment to qualify, that's open to you also, so that you in and out. You don't have to sit there and wait.
That's not until August, ain't it?
Not till August, but just getting ahead of the ball game.
And we can fill all this out and email it to you?
No, you get to come see
Still
me.
still get to come see you?
Yes.
All right.
Okay?
Always a pleasure to come see you.
Well, if y'all don't have any questions, that's all I have.
Thank you, Sue.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna move to number 7. There's a couple things I put on. One of the first things, I got a hold of Kay Cole, and I talked with Mary Carroll, and I talked with Katie. I wanna get the 7 maps, individual maps. I want every week to try to get one in the paper, just that one map of District Number 1, get them to mark off the boundaries, and who the juror are in that district as we stand, so that people can look and see it. Also, I like to get it on our Facebook page or on whatever page we got going on, so that people can look at this and see, because it's kind of a cluster right now, looking at the whole, all 7 districts in one map. The color, ain't right or whatever. So that way, every week we'll do this and try to, hopefully, we can get to 6, okay? So we can, but on the 6th one, there's 2 of us that's running in the same district. And when it gets to that one, make sure, the incumbents is Kirk Quinn and myself. And, try to get that out to the people so that, understand that, what's going on. That okay with all y'all?
One question, did we ever get the numbers right?
Did we get the numbers?
Yeah, because there were some numbering issues, I want to say, when the guys got ready to put in, did they get the numbers right?
I don't know.
Mine didn't change,
I don't,
Some of the districts changed, precinct 8 to 7.
The numbers on the map
Yeah.
is the district you're going to be running in.
okay.
Right.
And he got to do some
So-
tweaking on the,
Yes, like Mr. Butch's, for example, he was in District 7. You're now 3.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
3, yes, sir.
Yeah. And that's what I want to get, you know, Kate's supposed to get with Mary here in the next couple of days, and every week, put it in the policy, just that one district, you know, so the people can look at the boundaries and say, hey, I'm in this district here, because everything's changed up. I went riding yesterday, kind of riding mine, and, you know, I got old voters ain't there no more, now I got new people, so, you know, that way the people can see and kind of adjust to what's going on, you know? That's one of the things.
Yeah, because what we're gonna try to show where the streets are, it's
Yeah.
probably, the back page is probably gonna be either a whole page or a half a page, but
Yeah.
we're gonna make sure it shows streets, boundaries, everything.
That's right, so, you know, everybody can look at the street, because they go by the street
And
name
it'll
or
run the whole
whatever.
week, and then the next week we'll run the next one.
Next,
Right.
and just, you know, rotate it over like that.
Yep.
Everybody good with that? You know, get that, so people can see where they're at, you know? The second thing I wanna talk about, I'm glad I got Thomas Cox and, I think Jason and Tremaine's over there about the Grand Lake wreck. You know, we've been having phone calls, and I know them guys been getting a beating on the wreck on Facebook and everything else. I kinda chimed in here the other day with Tremaine about different things on the wreck. I asked Katie to try to get us some hard figures on what they have in the bank, in which we know, and I like to get the hard figures on what they collect every year on their ad valorem tax. Where's FEMA at on giving us some money? We're 3 years running, and FEMA haven't given us a hard answer, or if they're gonna help us, or if they're not gonna, or help us. Do we need to put a tax on the ballot, which would be up to you guys to decide if y'all wanna put a tax, so we can let the people know, cause I'm getting phone calls, I know some of the other guys are getting phone calls about the Grand Lake wreck, where we're sitting at with the wreck. You know, we don't have no taxing district up there besides the homeowners, you know, just very few stores. And, but Thomas got a big business, and I imagine he could pay the bulk of the taxes, but anyway, that's why I like, you know, you go ahead and talk to us a little bit, and let's try to get somebody there to get the heat off of these guys over here, week in and week out about the wreck, you know. I think people thinking that we don't wanna build a wreck in Grand Lake, well, that's not the case. I got grandkids, I like to see them go to the wreck, but I'm a realist, I know we don't have no money to be building no $5 million complex, so, talk to me.
Okay, so we'll start with FEMA first. We put in a request to FEMA June of last year, asking them to deem whether it was feasible to repair or replace the 2 buildings. It got hung up in FEMA for a year, the damage descriptions, because it's 2 separate buildings but 1 address. And they didn't really know what to do with it, so we had to first get it consolidated. Once it got consolidated, we submitted the request for them to do an alternate project and have the repair cost disallowed and do a full replacement. So what they would do is take the full square footage of building A and building B, and you could build a brand new one within the same footprint. So we'd have to demo what was there, build brand new up to the new codes. Again, the last time we've heard from FEMA was June of 2022 concerning that request. We do have a meeting scheduled for Friday, and we're supposed to get an answer, but that's what we told all of our congressional delegation, and even our state legislators are helping us with that issue. At least do a determination. Let us know one way or the other. So we'll find out hopefully more by Friday. Now, insurance is, as you know, going through litigation. We did receive a small amount of funds to repair it. We don't have an update. It is a priority project going through our mediation. So it should be considered within the next month, and you'll get an update in executive session from our law group that's gonna be doing the mediations. So getting FEMA and insurance out the way. Options for the Grand Lake wreck. Lisa Ladano is their secretary. She emailed me their finance report that she presented to the board in January of 2023. And according to their books, and just so everyone in the public knows, like, the rec board is their own governing authority. The police jury only appoints the board members. The rec board is their governing authority. They are the ones alone that have authority to borrow money, to take care of their finances, and make decisions. The police jury has no authority over them. So according to that board, they had $477,000 at their disposal to fix the wreck or build a new one. Their current millage, as it stands today, they're authorized to levy 4 mills. They levy about 4.1 mills. That only generates $120,000 a year. So, options. The tax alone barely covers their operating expenses on the original wreck. There are bonding options. If the voters of the rec district wanted to call an election and pass a tax on themselves to help build this rec, they could bond it out and pay over 10 years. It's something that Hackberry Fire Station has done. That's where they got their fire station. They borrowed $1 million. They pay about $1.3 million a year for the next 10 years. They're done. So I ran some numbers for you guys. An additional tax for for Grand Lake Rec. It is $1 per $1,000 of assessments. So if you were trying to run a 5 mil tax and your assessed value was $20,000 or less, that would cost the taxpayer an extra $100 a year on their property taxes.
On $20,000.
On a $20,000 assessment.
Oh, okay.
I looked around at most of the assessed values in Grand Lake. I picked out some really nice houses. I tried to get something that's, average. And I'm sure a tax assessor could probably give us a general average of assessed value for that district. But just to kind of show you the difference in it, if you had $20,000 of assessed value, which is about a normal assessment on about an acre of property, a good 2,000 square foot brick home, that's $80 extra a year that homeowner would pay. Now the high end is about $25,000. Those are the really big $500,000 houses. That's $125. But that's into addition what they're already or currently paying. Now, if you want to look at
How much, is that $6 million, or how much?
How much would that add up being?
no, okay, so depending on what you needed to borrow, and so that's kind of where we need to start. We have $1 million that the jury they allocated to the rec board to do preliminary design. So as soon as we find out from FEMA Friday whether they're repair or replacement, then if it's just repair, then you still have the $1 million. The rec board can use their insurance money to fix what's there, and you can start talking about something else long term. But if we do get that determination, which is what we're hopeful for, and we're going to talk about replacement, then you're going to get a large FEMA obligation to add into the construction dollars. And so between the general fund dollars that you allocated, FEMA's funds, and their insurance money, then we would be able to set a budget. And then if there's any gapping funding that you would want to borrow against, then we'd have to identify that. We'd have to go to the state bonding commission and ask them to borrow the dollars, and then you call the election and so forth. But that's 6-8 months leeway before you could get anything.
But we're gonna get an answer from FEMA hopefully Friday.
Friday. They promised me Friday they would let us know.
This Friday or?
They've been promising me that for a little while though. Friday is in.
This Friday or?
This Friday. We
Like
have a
tomorrow?
call with all of
After
the
tomorrow?
with
And-
FEMA.
Thomas, y'all getting all that? Tremaine, Jason? After get everything done, I like to get the papers and give to Thomas or one of them, or email them to them guys, so they got some, I know they might have them, but maybe get something in the paper, so the rec board, get the heat off of these guys and say, hey, look, we're trying, we're waiting on answers from FEMA. I mean, it's worth the wait to me if FEMA gives us some good money.
Right.
So what if we're a year or 2 years out, if FEMA gives us money where we got, the rec money that they got, FEMA money come in right here in the next few months, I think it's worth the wait. What y'all?
Now this is just
You
for
know.
the rec center itself.
Yeah. Mhm.
There's nothing, there's no regard to the pool and the fencing. That can all be fixed
Yeah.
immediately with insurance dollars. There is a PW for it, but looking at their finances, they have enough money in surplus that if they wanted to go fix their pool, get the fencing, and just have it open to the public for this summer, they have enough funds to do that and then submit their invoices to FEMA to be reimbursed later after obligation.
Okay. Well, Thomas, I got any questions? Tremaine? I know y'all been taking a lot of heat. I see the Facebooks and everything. I'm, trying to help you guys out a little bit. to get us expedited on some of this stuff. Butch, Lee, y'all got any questions?
Stay off
Hey, Joe.
Facebook.
Joe, one quick question. On the 5 mil additional that you just talked about, how much money would that actually bring in per year? I don't think that was actually answered.
Okay, so the 5 mil would only bring in about $180,000, but that would be enough if you wanted to borrow, say, $1 million, it would cover that note every year for 10 years. Now, if you wanted to not borrow money and you just wanted to wait for a few years till you got enough to build, then it would probably take you about 10 years. But it's about $180,000.
So an additional 5 mils would put about an extra $180,000 a year.
Yes, so if you're gonna borrow the money to build it though, you could only use that money to pay that bond. If you just wanna do a flat 5 mils, just to use however you want, whether it's construction or operating, then, you could use it that way, but you wouldn't generate enough revenue to build a rec today, you'd have to wait.
Correct.
I'm good.
One question, on FEMA, are we required to stay within the same footprint with FEMA and just repair what we have, or can we work on the new recreation center that we're talking about?
So that's gonna slow things down a lot. If you're talking about wanting to change the location, FEMA has to pre-approve that. That's gonna take a few months. If you stay in the same footprint at the same address, then what they do is they take the square footage and they take, make sure that it's still functional. So if you had a rec room, then you gotta make a weight room, you still have to put a weight room in there, and but it's mainly just a square footage footprint that they're gonna.
Katie, with the new law that happened to us in Grand Chenier, if we had the pool was a certain size, the new law says we had to, I'm sorry, had to have bigger bathrooms and all, so they'll pay for that. Any upgrades, so it actually could be bigger, which they'd pay for it.
Any changes
But
to
if you
the.
move that location, I think it goes to 75% of what they was gonna give you, so you're only gonna get 75% if you move of what they was gonna pay.
They set a cap with that.
There's some issues that you have to check.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be up to, Thomas and them if that's what they wanna do, move or stay where they're at or whatever, but just trying to get something going to get
And
everything working.
The reason why the request was submitted was because it was 2 old buildings. There was gonna be, we had to do, a consensus space code standards report showing that all of the wiring, it had to be handicap accessible, the lighting had to be changed out, and you start talk about completely gutting an older building to get it up to date for LED lighting and certain electrical outlets, then it's cheaper just to tear it down and build brand new than it would. That's what we're trying to get FEMA to determine versus renovating it to bring it up to the code.
We should have an answer pretty quick on that.
Right.
Well, I mean, you would think, but it's FEMA, but we are certainly putting pressure on them, and we did have some conversation with Congressman Higgins' office, and he has submitted letters in person to FEMA headquarters before on our behalf, and so we have him willing and ready, just waiting to hear back from us on Friday
Okay.
if we need the extra push.
I'm good with that.
And then, I mean, if that's a 5,000 square foot, 2 buildings together, that's all they're allocating money for is the 5,000, not if you come in with a 10,000 square foot building.
Correct. But it doesn't mean you can't do it, it's just you have to cover any costs that weren't originally
Right.
considered as an eligible activity, so if,
$1 million a year.
Yep.
Right.
correct, you could use any allocation for that.
Any questions?
I got something else too, but never get time.
Okay, I was gonna talk about town hall meetings, but since Tom and them going around doing that, we just gonna ride on their skirt tail and let them pay for the food and everything, we just ride with him. And that way, we don't have to cost us stuff, so I'm not gonna talk about the town hall meeting, Curtis.
Okay, while we were in Washington, we met with several people. One of my main concerns was FEMA, and these camper trailers. They're trying to force everybody out of these trailers, so they can send them to a lot and sell them at the lowest price. So, one of the things I was told was they're gonna do their best to stop it. They didn't say they were gonna stop it, but they're gonna look into it. Everybody out there is living in a FEMA trailer, and I know in Hackberry, my district, they have a lot of people that's living in these things. I would imagine they have some all over the parish. But I just want to make sure that they hang on in there and make sure that they understand that we We did talk to these people about this, and they are talking to FEMA, and hopefully they'll put a stop to this.
Curtis, they extended the date till June 28th. The deadline was February 28th. We got the extension yesterday.
Right. Well, hopefully, instead of, the problem with it is they wanna take these campers, and they tell everybody, they wanna take these campers, they're gonna send them to a lot, and they're gonna sell them for whatever they can get for them. Instead of offering this to the people that's living in these things, that don't have the ability to get a new house or a new, abode out there, and they just wanna take it away from them.
Is that campers you talking about? or
Yes, yes,
Trailers?
yes.
And there must have been, what, 30 of them by my house?
Yeah, they offered, two owners that had the travel trailers, but they won't offer them to sell to the public, just the travel, the MHUs, the mobile homes, they'll offer to sell that to the public, but not travel trailers.
Not the travel trailer, but they're gonna send them to a lot and sell them for
Exactly.
pennies.
There's an auction coming up right now with 47 units and the starting bid is $400,000.
They moved them out because people couldn't, like on a mobile home, couldn't afford $1,107 a month.
Well, that's exactly right, but, like I said, they're still sending these things to a lot, and they're selling them, and they're not gonna get anything for them, but yet the people that they're trying to take it away from don't have anywhere else to go.
Right.
That's, I can't say that word. That's, well, it's wrong, okay? I wanna say something else, but I can't. Like I said, it's wrong what they're doing to the people, and it's wrong what they're doing with them campers. So, I just want everybody out there, please understand that we did do our best to, try to stop this, and hopefully it will be stopped, so.
All right, let's review our agendas.
While you're reviewing your agendas, item 20 is authority to advertise for bids to replace the Grand Lake Maintenance Barn. The plans have been finalized and the cost estimate is $1.5 million, and we have a $3 million FEMA obligation currently.
You have a what?
We need to add a little bit more to it.
You have a what?
FEMA obligated $3 million to replace the Grand Lake Maintenance Barn.
Let's reallocate that to the rec center.
Our cost estimate is right now $1.5 million.
Is that like a pre-bid type, or is that something we're just guessing at?
FEMA's guessing.
And that's everything that we've discussed, the amount of bays and everything
Yes.
inside?
So once you have your FEMA obligation, Mr. Sonny, just to answer your question, they estimated that the value of the building and the cost to replace is gonna be $3 million. Once we bid out the project, it'll be reconciled to actual cost. If it exceeds the $3 million, they'll reconcile it up, and if it's less, they'll version it down. And if they do have to version it down, and there is some residual funds, then we will have the opportunity to convert those to an alternate or improved project.
So the sheriff will have a spot in there too,
Yes, so it's 4 bays.
Yep.
2 are for the sheriff, 2 are for road and bridge, and in the center is a office for road and bridge staff with a bathroom and a private bathroom and office space for the sheriff's department. And they will be completely separate, under one roof, but completely separate.
So it was a 5-bay, then you just took the middle bay and utilized it for the office.
Same footprint.
Correct.
So that bathroom's on the inside this time? not
Yes,
external.
the bathroom's on the inside, and we're able to separate the sheriff's office from road and bridge, so the sheriff had committed to covering any costs that, FEMA's not gonna pay for, that can be directly attributed to the sheriff's office. And so, and we might even meter it separately, that way they have, an electric bill and we have an electric bill.
What about them lights at that ball field?
They are,
I will have them up in February.
Oh, still in February.
Yeah,
Currently-
you got a couple weeks left.
Okay, so we were waiting on it to dry up, obviously. We are securing quotes to mat it, to see if we could haul mats in and replace the lights. Since it's so wet, it does double the cost to replace the lights. For in the interim, we have the light plants from Danny's office that he's dropped off over there, and our road crew is going to start them and turn them off around, coordinating, of course, with the Grand Lake Rec League on when they're getting used to the ball fields.
Oh, so she covered herself, at least.
I'm good with that.
Oh, she's slick, eh?
Fast.
Y'all through?
Might have been warm before the meeting, yes, sir.
Y'all through with that? Number 11, what's that change on the ordinance?
That's the food truck, ordinance that we.
Renew?
Yes, so, that is making Cameron, the village, like Cameron proper, just the village of Cameron, their ordinance for food trucks is going to mimic the one that's already in operation at Holly Beach, limits it to 4. They still have to make sure that they're compliant with LDH requirements.
Okay.
All right, I got one more other question.
Yes, sir.
On F in the permits, CP Marine, is that gonna interfere with the ship traffic at all? Is that something we're gonna need to get pilot buy-off or what have you?
I can let you look at the permit, Mr. Sonny.
You know, it's a lot there, and,
That's on the ship, yeah?
yeah.
Oh, them pilots ain't gonna let you put nothing out, like they done looked at it, I can tell you that.
No matter if we do it or not.
No matter if you approve it or not, if they don't want it, you ain't getting it. Nope.
I just was wondering if we're
Like
gonna
replacing
interrupt
bulkhead.
shipping traffic at all. Is that gonna
Yeah.
bother Venture Global? I don't know exactly where this is.
I can reach out to them to
This is
see.
Mark.
What about the port? Did the port go over that one already? Did y'all?
No,
Okay. I'll move to not approve that until the port has approved it. I wanna do that in the future. We've done that before and really tripped over each other, so we wanna make sure that our port has their say before we actually vote on it as a jury, if y'all don't mind.
No, that's good.
Okay.
Y'all have meetings once a month, the port?
yes,
Okay. Yeah, that's fine.
I'll forward it to Kim.
That's all I got, Joe.
Any other questions? Anybody still looking?
I have something. So we're gonna ask you guys to do an add-on, for the voting meeting. Our Cameron multipurpose building is substantially complete. We would ask you to accept it pending fire marshal approval. And so we would like to have it open in time for March 15th, which is our time capsule ceremony that is planned.
Okay.
So we've inspected it, we're good?
Sir?
We've inspected it, we're good? The permitting group,
Yes.
they've inspected?
Randy Thomas has done a walkthrough. James Gaspard, our facility maintenance manager, is also, the only thing is they want to make sure that the fire marshal will give us temporary occupancy if we don't pass the permanent occupancy. So this substantial completion will not be filed until we either get a temporary 30-day occupancy or a permanent one. And if it's not, then we'll just have to move the ceremony. But that's why we're trying to have it adopted now, because your next police jury meeting is March 15th, which is the date of the time capsule. And so I think we've been doing a lot of social media, and in the Creamer pilot, we've been publicizing our time capsule ceremony will be March 15th. You have a police jury meeting, voting meeting at 2. We would ask everyone to vacate this building, go to the Cameron multipurpose building. We will have a ceremony at 3, and the building will stay opened until 8 o'clock that night. We will have a repeat of the ceremony at 6 o'clock for the working people who can't get off of work. And so, but everything will be open until 8 o'clock that night, and then we are working on a schedule with the library. We're going to have a roving display of all of the items. They will be stationed for 30 days at a time at every community library, starting, with Grand Lake, Hackberry, and we'll just rotate around for the remainder of the year. And at the end of the year, the Cameron Alliance Group, who's taken point on planning these activities, they'll make a decision on where the contents are gonna be housed permanently. There's discussion about breaking up the community artifacts to be housed permanently in their library, and then anything that's more governmental related or parish-wide could be housed in the courthouse. So that's the plan right now.
How old is that thing?
The what?
53 years.
53 years. If you recall, we had a ceremony planned for March 15, 2020, And the Friday before, on the 13th, is when the governor issued the stay-at-home order and shut down all of the economy for gatherings of 250 people or more. So we postponed it. Hurricane Laura ensued. Then we didn't have a place to have the ceremony, and Cameron Multipurpose Building is the first building that we have completely renovated to be able to house a ceremony like this. So that's why it's been planned. So it's time capsule reveal 3 years later.
So I can't take mine out, so I don't let that stupidity I wrote.
I'll read it for you.
No, you won't.
I don't, we
'Cause
have.
I know what I did.
We have a few surprises. I don't want to overshare, so you will have the opportunity, if you cannot attend in person, you will have the opportunity to inspect it at your convenience. And so we're also planning to live stream the ceremonies as well for anyone that can't attend in person.
I do have something, I talked to Shane about this morning. I went to the dump in Sweet Lake Sunday and dumped, and I realized our packers are still not here. We need to call, I don't care if we gotta get a different brand, let's find some somewhere.
Well, they already been PO'd and ordered.
I understand, but if they don't wanna give them to us in a timely manner,
I'll call them.
let's do something different. Dump trucks too, we can't find them,
They ordered.
they ordered them, let's find them, I mean,
That's all on state contract?
yeah. I mean, we need to do something, we gotta get our trash dumps back to packing instead of spending a lot of money hauling roll-offs out every week.
I'll call them.
I got a question. Where do we stand on courthouse maintenance?
So that renovations and repairs are currently under bid, and the bid opening is scheduled for next month. So we should be able to accept final bids next month. And Ms. Robin reminded me, she wanted me to tell you guys, so our Facebook post, when we do any sort of posting for anything, it tells you like the audience reached. And last Friday, I checked our Facebook post for one of our time capsule postings, and it had reached 27,000 people.
Good.
Wow.
That's the most I think any post has ever reached that I can recall.
From all over the world.
What about the jailhouse back there? I hear the generator has never been cranked back there. Does it run? Does it work properly?
I like them lights.
Or is,
And the lights
I'm
not
aware.
working underneath? And
So the lights are gonna be repaired as part of the bid packet. The jail is bid out currently right now too. Again, that'll be March. House, jail, and the Cameron Library are all and OEP Pavilion are currently being bid right now. And so, the generator, I'm not aware of any issues with it. They were running it after Hurricane Laura, but I'll need to check Mr. James Gaspar to see if they have a current.
How about the camera going, Kate? Where we at?
The jail courthouse, the jail generator runs.
They run, they test them once a week for 911,
Okay,
and that's all logged down, yes, sir.
thank you,
What
Nick.
was the question?
Where are we at on the reskinning the camera bone, putting the metal back on?
Okay, so we have quotes to start with the roof, replacing the roof. Those are under $250,000 to do the barn and the pavilion. So we're gonna go ahead and issue a requisition and purchase order to repair the roof, and then bid out the mosquito barn part separately once those bid packets are ready. But we at least wanted to get started on the roof so they can start planning the livestock show for next January.
Okay, thank you.
Any more questions? Anybody else? Katie, you got anything?
We're gonna have one more add-on. Go ahead, Mary, if you have it in front of me.
We're gonna need a sign, so Cajun Riviera Field Trial called a month or so ago. They wanna utilize the property on Gulf Highway to do some field trials. So there's gonna be a CEA, added to the voting meeting for authority for the administrator to sign the CEA to allow them to utilize our property for their field trials.
Okay.
And they are insured liability at
Yeah,
$1
we
million.
already have that.
Tom and his staff have, prepared the CEA. It's going through final review, and so we hope to sign it by the end of this week.
Everything good with it? Everybody good with that? Any more questions? Anything else? Meeting's adjourned. Huh?